Apollo Triumph came out in 1948. It was also known as The Man Who Murdered Himself and also as The Scar. It was a crime film directed by Steve Sekely that starred Paul Henreid and Joan Bennett. I'll give a summary of the film, spoiler-free, and then offer some closing thoughts. Well, the film opens up with the main character of John Muller, played by Paul Henreid of Casablanca fame. He's getting out of lockup, and the parole officer is basically a cynical fellow saying, "You'll be back again." But he offers him an office job so he can, get his life back together again. Now, some of his criminal friends pick him up and offer him a smoke on the ride. "You know I don't smoke," he says. Well, we'll see about that as the film continues. He heads back to their place, and we can see right away that he's restless. He wants another big score, and he's been planning it out. He shares his ideas for holding up Stanczyk's casino. Now, all of his sketchy friends, well, they all seem reluctant to go along with this, but Muller sells it to them, and he's got it all figured out, all the details. So they decide to go along with it. So these guys arrive at this casino, and they're going to hold it up. Now, this is just classic John Alton cinematography. It looks so good here. Shadows, lights, smoke, all of it. They start the robbery. They're discreetly demanding the money get turned over to them, and I love this scene as one of the guys comes up to collect. I've seen it a bunch of times. I laugh every time I watch this guy's expression. I mean, I wonder, this would be me if I ever won money at a casino.
This is my lucky night. Well, why don't you pay off?
That's just great. Well, one of the guys is apprehended by security, and there's a fight. And soon they've got to get out of there. They try to get away in two different cars, but one of the cars gets shot up. And we are introduced to the character of Rocky Stanczyk. He's played by Thomas Brown Henry. He's a character actor. I've seen in a bunch of other films. He wants the guys that got away. One of them is Muller. And he says, "Get him. If it takes 20 years, get him." And then they let the thugs go that they've apprehended. But once they're gone, he tells his guy, Bullseye, played by young Jack Webb of Dragnet fame. He says, "You're not going to let them get away, are you, Bullseye?" Oh. So Muller is on the run, and he decides he's going to go into hiding. He's going to take this office job. The wonderful world of light office clerical work. I love the scene as he's talking to a supervisor, Mr. Anderson. It's actor Morgan Farley. And the room is illuminated symbolically, I think, with stripes from the window, like vertical prison bars. I get it. I've done plenty of office work over the years. So he gets to work, and shortly he's sent out to deliver a book. And I wanted to make a note about the soundtrack. It's some very chipper music here by Saul Kaplan. And he's walking along, and he realizes he's being followed by a shady character. So he corners this guy that was following him. The guy looks kind of shady and suspicious, but in one of the many twists of this film, it turns out the guy that was trailing him is just a dentist who had confused him with somebody else, a lookalike, somebody who looked just like him. Now, Muller's curious, so he goes to the office where this guy is, and he's instantly greeted by the secretary, Evelyn, played by lovely actress Joan Bennett, who gives him some sugar and then realizes that he isn't who she thinks he is. And she regains her composure, kind of gets a little bit cold towards him, and questions who this mysterious character is. Turns out that this character, Muller, is a dead ringer for a Dr. Bartok, who works there as a psychoanalyst. So he's intrigued by her, even though she's now cold and dismissive. And Muller goes ahead and asks her out to dinner. Now, back at the office, he's told off for getting back late. He was supposed to deliver the book and all. So he punches out the supervisor. So clearly he's out of a job. He gets a call around here from his brother. meets with him at a local hotel. His brother Freddie, played by actor Edward Franz, cautions his brother that Stanczyk's men, they're still on the move and they are after him and they want him. And they mean business. He shows him a newspaper showing one of his robber friends that he had held up the casino with. Well, apparently he was gunned down in Mexico. So Muller leaves in a hurry. And listen to this part here. Doesn't it sound a little bit like the Jaws music? Well, he's spotted by Stanczyk's men, and he makes a run for it. But they stay in close pursuit. He dodges a bullet, and he makes his way to this ascending train car. It's the Angel's Flight. He gets in it, and he's able to kick away one of the bad guys, make his escape, gets back to his room, and he contemplates making a very bold move. Could he take on Dr. Bartok's identity? Well, he takes Evelyn out for a date at the zoo. Now, she seems pretty cynical and jaded and seems dismissive of Muller's intentions here. She sees him as just being full of himself and wants to just call it a night. And she really doesn't seem all that interested in the guy at all. But they have coffee, and he mentions wanting to see Dr. Bartok's files, as he has some experience and interest in the field of psychoanalysis, and just wants to see how he handles his patients. Or so he tells her. So the next day, he is there at the office again, and he goes snooping around and sees some of the doctor's checks, and he steals them in order to learn how to copy his handwriting. He's also able to snag an audio recording of the doctor to try to learn his voice. Now, he's also smoking a lot, and that's very symbolic. I'll talk about that later in the review. So he sees Evelyn one more evening, gives her a very nice gift, but then tells her the bad news that he's leaving town. Now, she's kind of expecting it, and she stays strong, stoic, but after he leaves, she breaks down crying. Now, Muller doesn't actually leave town, but he takes a job at Clover Garage as a cover. He's got a mustache now, and he starts on a night shift. Later during the day, he snaps a picture in secret of this Dr. Bartok. And oh no, you aren't going to. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, Muller gives himself a do-it-yourself scar based on the photo, and thankfully we don't see the actual process of the self-scarring, but there's plenty of implied gross self-surgery just the same. Yuck. Ugh. The telltale Siggy lets us know about the passage of time. Well, that night, Muller is at the garage. His face is bandaged up, and he services a car for those two thugs that are after him. Uh-oh, it's a nice bit of Hitchcock-style suspense as he does all the work as they just watch, but they have no clue who he is. Now, he figures out who they are, but he's doing his job, and they don't have any interest whatsoever. They have not even identified him. The days when you could get that much gas for $1. Well, Dr. Bartok arrives. He's a customer at this garage, and Muller goes with him on this drive. Now, the doctor is not at all aware that this mechanic is somebody who has been plotting and scheming to steal his identity. Now, as we see things unfold in Muller's mind, it's just a brilliant part of the movie as he contemplates what he's about to do. All the while, we hear this opera music playing on the radio. It's so good.
Okay, we'll be back later. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Marcy tried Mexico. They found him.
They'll get us. They'll find us. A guy like Stanczyk, those guys don't stop till they get even. You know a place you can hide out from Rocky Stanczyk?
Here's a friend of yours. Okay, we'll be back later.
So Mueller has clubbed the doctor. He's about to dump the body when he realizes, looking at his face, the scar is on the wrong side. The photo had been accidentally reversed. Oh no! But Mueller goes on with his scheme, and he shows up for work, dressed up and fully pretending to be Dr. Bartok. He has stolen his identity. I guess at this point he's got no other option, even with the scar on the wrong side. But you know what? He seems to blend right in with no problems. Now, I have to admit, he carries the role well and seems completely convincing as this doctor. He just smokes quietly and he listens to his patients. Now, later he's going through the doctor's bills and statements, and he sees that the doctor was apparently struggling financially, his money dropping, and he sold several stocks. Not sure what's going on, but his research is interrupted as his girlfriend calls and wants to see him. So he tells her to meet him in a half hour and to stop and wear an orchid. It's a clever idea, actually, presumably so he can identify the girlfriend that he doesn't even know what she looks like. So he finally meets with his girlfriend, Virginia, played by actress Leslie Brooks. And the two of them are going to this gambling place. And apparently that's a vice of this doctor, gambling and losing money at gambling. It's fascinating here that his girlfriend hasn't figured out there's anything different, that the scar has jumped to the wrong side of his face, but just looks at him and says, "You're looking very well this evening." I love it. So later, Mueller confronts Evelyn, kind of questioning why she seems to be staring at him and studying him. Because remember, she thinks he's the doctor, and she thinks that the character Mueller is gone. So he's questioning her, asking her about her personal life and relationships, and she's just very jaded and cynical. Now we can see that Mueller still cares for her, it would seem, but she, well, no, she's just not interested.
Are you sorry for yourself?
No, because for one thing, it's too late, and what's the use? Because you never can go back and start again. Because the older you grow, the worse everything turns out. You don't see it happening to you, it just happens. You wake up one morning, and there you are, and anything goes, and that's all right, too. Now, does that upset you, Dr. Bartok?
Doesn't bother me at all.
Anytime you say, I can quit.
I would never let you go, Evelyn.
That's nice. Thanks.
I would miss you badly. You don't know how much I would miss you.
Now, Mueller's brother, Freddie, from earlier in the film, is able to track him down, and he goes to this Dr. Bartok's office, and seeing Mueller, his brother, he thinks he's found him. But Mueller keeps up the bluff. He's like, "No, you're mistaken. I'm Dr. Bartok." He talks to his brother, who tells him, basically, that his brother Mueller doesn't need to hide anymore. As this Stanzik character from earlier, the casino guy, he's been convicted for tax crimes and deported. So basically Mueller he's free and he's in the clear. Now Evelyn, however, she's finally put everything together about this deception based on how the brother reacted to seeing him. So Mueller talks to her, reveals why he did it, why he had to hide out. She figures out that he's killed this doctor, but she doesn't turn him in, but instead it's just, "I'm getting out of town," and she sails to Honolulu. So she's ready to leave town. She's going to get on the boat, and we're left wondering, what will Mueller do? Now that he's free, will he leave with her? Will he continue with this deception, working at this job? Well, no spoilers. Not going to give away the ending. You have to see this one for yourself, but wow, what a great twist ending to this film. I loved it. So let me wrap up with some closing thoughts here. Hollow Triumph was released in 1948 by Eagle Lion Films. It was based on the 1946 novel of the same title, written by Murray Forbes. As mentioned earlier, it was also known as The Scar, which actually makes sense as a title. I'm pretty sure this is in the public domain, as there are a ton of copies online. Usually when I review and watch a film from Eagle Lion Films, I don't usually get the copyright claims, so I think this one is free to find online. I loved it. This is a type of film that I do this channel for. I go digging in the past. I find gems like this one, and I just love it. I've watched it 3 times already writing this review, and I thought it was fantastic. Thoughts on the film: this was a great blend of heist film early on, but then it becomes that stolen identity story that you just have to watch to see if he can pull it off. Notably, this film is full of Hitchcock-style twists. You know, those thugs chasing Muller, but then the same thugs later, oblivious to the fact that he's right there at the garage fixing up the car. You know, the twist of the misplaced scar, and then that final resolution. It was so great. It reminded me of a Hitchcock film. Really enjoyed this one a lot. Now, here's the deal. I mean, with the scar gimmick, maybe you would watch this film, or you've watched this review and you think, oh, come on, how did no one notice the scar suddenly on the wrong side of his face? If you think about it too much or really overanalyze it, then yeah, it's a little bit silly. Or maybe it's just a commentary on the fact that we often become so familiar, so complacent with people that we start to overlook basic things like the placement of scars. In any case, when he first makes the realization that he put the scar on the wrong side of his face, there's really not much he can do, is there? I mean, what? Could he give himself another scar on the other side of his face and then just, I don't know, tell people he just keeps getting into mishaps in his sword fighting classes? Or I don't know. Bottom line is, it's a big blunder and he just has to work with it. And there's really nothing else he can do other than just giving up the idea of the deception and running. And that's not an option because these Stanzik characters from the casino are after him. And a silly side note, when I think about the scar, kind of being on the wrong side, like it moved on his face, I can't help but be reminded of the movie Robin Hood Men in Tights from '93, and how you had Richard Lewis playing Prince John, and there was the Mel Brooks gag of the mole being on different sides of his face.
Stop me if I'm wrong about this, but wasn't your mole on the other side?
I have a mole?
Now, could something like this really be pulled off? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. If, you have a double out there somewhere that maybe you could replace if you had to go into hiding. Well, as for me, well, heck, of course it's Gerard Butler. I mean, come on. We're practically twins. Now, I have to talk about Paul Henreid and his role in this film. I'm so used to seeing him as the French hero of Casablanca. Play la Massier, play it, But here, boy, it's a totally different role as this sneaky criminal, and he's just from the very beginning scheming how he can rob a casino and make a ton of money and get away with it. So, completely different role, but I loved seeing this variation. Now, I did think it was funny how he just seemed to blend perfectly into faking that therapist role. All he does is basically just stand around and listen to these people while he quietly smokes. I don't know if this was maybe intended as a jab at the Freudian psychoanalysis method. Just it's nothing more than people who are just rambling away about their troubles to someone who's just listening or pretending to listen. I don't know. But it did make me chuckle, as during the course of the film, one of the patients even tells him that he seems different, that he's actually, it's like he's doing a better job than before. When all we see him do is just sit quietly or stand quietly and smoke and listen. So I thought that was really cool. And about the smoking, I did notice the symbolism is really interesting to me, or basically how once this character of Muller takes over the false identity, he smokes non-stop through the film. I mean, we're talking Humphrey Bogart level smoking here, in how it seems like there is not a scene he is in where he is not smoking away. It doesn't have a ciggy in his hand. And I wonder if it's like the guilt of the fact that he murdered this doctor and took his identity that has him craving the smokes. Or maybe there's just something to the symbolism, like the smoky aura giving his character like a phantom-like aspect. I don't know. I might be reading into it a little too much. But you can't help but notice how pre-face swap, Muller refuses to smoke. But once he actually kills the doctor and takes his role, he's got a cloud around him wherever he goes. Now, there was one thing I noticed about this film, and I really loved. It's that even though it has a generally dark and seedy tone of theft and murder and fractured relationships, the film would still give you unexpected, bright highlights that just added color unexpectedly, like the character Jerry dancing at the garage, or the chatty dentist, or the two goofy photo lab guys, or even the unexpectedly sweet scene with the old cleaning woman near the end of the film. You know, I love this. In fact, here's the scene. I'll just play it here, as it really stood out to me as just unexpected but beautiful moment in a generally dark film.
Dr. Ford? Excuse me, please, Doctor. I hope you don't mind it if I talk to you.
What do you want?
The scar.
Did you notice that?
What? I know I'm mistaken. The scar, I mean. Of course I'm wrong.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
I thought that Joan Bennett was fantastic as the character Evelyn. She is very cynical and just burned out by relationships from her past, but she's just so watchable here. You know, you want her to try to open up and trust this character Muller, but yet you don't, because he's bad news. So your heart kind of breaks for her as you watch her in this film. You know, I caught her not long ago in the movie Scarlet Street, where she played a manipulative character to Edward G. Robinson's gullible character. So here it was sort of like a switcheroo as we watch her, and she studies this fake doctor, not quite convinced when she sees him. And, you know, she too never notices the scar switch. But then once she does, then what can she do? And, you know, again, it was difficult seeing her start to maybe trust and care for this Muller guy, only to have him lie to her and leave her devastated, just so he could, you know, proceed with his body swap plan, and then eventually discovers that he never left in the first place. There's just so many great twists to this film. And I'm getting to the point where I see John Alton's cinematography. And wow, to me, his work is so good. It's like his contributions to the film it's just as much a star of the film as any of the actors. The style, it always looks so good. Every time I see his name in the credits, and then I watch the shadowy blacks, the gloomy, smoky lights, and in fact, the casino scene at the beginning, it looks tremendous and actually features lamps getting their own scenes. The symbolism of the lamps as sort of a natural source of light in a scene just seems to be a trademark throughout these Alton films. And I love it. I've been on a John Alton kick since early this year when I started with He Walked by Night with Richard Basehart. And I've just got to see more of his work. I love it. So plan on seeing more films with his artistry in the near future. So a couple more observations and then I'll wrap up this review. Actress Leslie Brooks was very briefly in the film as the doctor's girlfriend. And it's odd because she still seems to get prominent billing and appears in the posters and lobby cards for the film. So I don't know. So if you go into this film expecting to see much of her, boy, I think she's maybe in like 3 scenes total. So she's just not very much in this film. And finally, the Angel's Flight, the uphill train system that we see in the chase scene. Apparently it's still in operation today in Los Angeles, which is pretty cool. This was in this film, and it's also been in a bunch of others. Like I remember it from The Indestructible Man from 1956 with Lon Chaney Jr. And you know me and location footage, I love it. So it was neat to see that in this film. So let me wrap up. That was Hollow Triumph from 1948. Excellent bit of noir with Paul Henreid and Joan Bennett. Really enjoyed this one. And I loved all the amazing twists, especially that last one at the end of the film. Man, it's good. It was directed by Steve Sekely, and again, amazing cinematography by John Alton. It's in the public domain, it's easy to find, and it's definitely one worth checking out.